and welcome to QQ Solutions webinar for Quick Quote users that are migrating to QQWebRater. During the course of our webinar, we'll be showing you how to access QQWebRater for the first time. We'll also look at how to process a new quote. We'll also show you how to transfer a quote, and we'll look at some new additional features that'll make your job a little easier. Now, as you know, as of August 1st, you will no longer be using QuickQuote to obtain your auto insurance quote. Instead, you'll be using the totally web-based QQWebRater. Now, you may be asking yourself, why are we doing this? Well, QQWebRater is totally web-based, so it eliminates the time-consuming process of downloading any updates. We'll handle that for you. It's portable, so you can access QQWebRater anywhere you have internet access. And lastly, but most importantly, it's the latest technology that you're getting for the same price that you're currently paying for QuickQuote. So with that said, let's go ahead and access QQWebRater. Now, since it is a totally web-based product, you will not have an icon on your desktop to click on. Instead, you'll be going directly to your web browser and typing in www.QQWebRater.com. Once you come to this screen, which is the login screen for QQWebRater, what we suggest you do is just simply add it to your favorites so you can have easy access to this website on a daily basis. Now, the next option that you will need to do is actually enter your username and password. Now, if you do not have a username or password, then you will need to get with your office administrator and have her either create one on the online account management system, or she can provide it to you if she has already created a username and password. If you are an enterprise user, a QuickQuote enterprise user, you do not have to have a separate user ID and password. You can use the same credentials that you currently have to access QuickQuote. So with that said, we'll go ahead and enter my username. Now, this is a test data that I'm using, so it'll look totally different. The username will be totally different for you than what the one you may have. Once you've entered the password, click on Login, and this will bring you directly to the entry screen. You will not see that previous message. That's just because it's a test data, so that's just reserved for our end here. Okay, so this is the QQWebRater entry screen, and this is where you will begin filling in information to obtain your quote. Now, just a quick overview of the entry screen. What you'll see on the top toolbar are several options that you can access. The first one is quote. And with quote, if you just hover over the down arrow, it'll show you a few options that are available. You can, once you fill in the information on the entry screen, you can process the quote directly here. You can obtain a new quote, which means it'll just clear out the information that you typed in, so you have a brand new screen. You can retrieve any saved quotes that you have in there. And you can also save a quote directly from this option. Now, if you forget to save a quote, this last option, which is a fairly new feature, Unsaved Quotes, will allow you to retrieve the last 5 unsaved quotes. So if, let's say, you're in the middle of a quote and you accidentally log out without saving it, you can come back to the Unsaved Quote area here and retrieve that, as long as it's within the last 5 quotes that you did. The RTR selections will just show you the real-time rating carriers that you're currently quoting with. Nvr section will allow you to request a motor vehicle report on a certain client named insured if you have that account, the Nvr account set up with QQ Solutions. Reports allows you to pull reports from QQWebRater. So the report type that you can pull, it depends on what you're looking for. So you can pull a report by agent, by CSR, company, source, zip code. You can also pull it, choose the status. So if you want to see how many policies or how many quotes were actually sold, you can do that. Or you can select a combination of both sold and not sold. And time period allows you to choose gives you a few options. You can pull a report month to date, year to date, or if you choose specific dates, you can put in your own date parameters. If you're an agency with multiple offices, if you look on the upper right hand side, you'll have the option with the drop down arrow to choose which agency filter you want to pull this report from. Or you'll have also an additional option for all, and you can pull for all your agencies. Once you're done, you can generate this report in a PDF format. You can also generate this report in an Excel spreadsheet. So once you're done, you can just close out. Marketing, this actually is attached to our QQ Web Agent, which is a comparative rating program that is applied to your website, and it allows consumers to go onto your website and obtain live quotes. The Pro Rata actually gives you access to our Pro Rata Wheel, allows you to calculate what the additional premium will be or premium change will be based on, let's say, an endorsement, a cancellation on a short rate basis, or maybe a prorated basis. The way you would use this is to go ahead and select the action that you're trying to perform, which is maybe an endorsement. You put in the effective date of the endorsement, or I'm sorry, of the policy. So we can put in, let's say, January 1st of 2011, and our endorsement date will make it, let's say, June 1st of 2011. Okay, the policy term, is this an annual policy or is it a semi-annual policy? You can change that automatically also here. And then our next area would be our commission rate. What is the commission based on the policy that this insured currently has? It gives you the information as far as like the time remaining based on the term, the policy term. Then you would enter the annual additional premium. So let's say the additional premium for this changed was $400, and just click on your or hit your tab key, and then calculate the information for you. Now you have the option to print this information. You can also select the Accord 35, which is the cancellation request form, to go ahead and print out. And there it is right there. So you can go ahead and fill in this information so that you can print it out and have your insured sign it right then and there. Okay. To clear out of this, you can just close, and it'll bring you back to the entry screen. Now the last area that you will see are utilities, and this is specifically for administrators. Unless you have assigned permission levels by the administrator, you will not have access to utilities. So with that said, we'll move on to the actual entry screen, where the first area prompts you to enter the named insured's information. So we're looking at the first name, which is pretty straightforward. Then you would enter a middle initial or last name. If he's a junior or if he has some kind of suffix, go ahead and fill in that information, and then type in the insured's address. Now once you've entered that information, you can go ahead and click on the little icon to the right of that box to verify the address. Okay, so we need to fill in the information here. And then just verify the address. And it gives you a confirmation that the address has been verified. The next area to enter is the phone number, the named insured's phone number, and their email address. Now if you want to enter this information, you can go ahead and do that, or you can simply bypass it. It's not a required field, but it's nice to have additional information for this insured. Okay, prior coverage, this is where you're going to be entering the prior coverage limits. And as you can see, a drop-down box does automatically appear, which prompts you to enter what prior what prior limits did this insured have. So you would select that information from this drop-down selection. And then another box appears automatically because it prompts you to enter the prior insurance company. So who is he with? Who's he insured currently? So let's say he's insured with Hartford. So we'll put that information there. Now it asks for months. So if you're not sure what information needs to be entered in this section, what you can do is hover over the name, actually anything that has like a perforated line underneath the title, you can hover over it and it tells you exactly what it's looking for and what you need to enter in this section. So in this case, it's looking, it prompts you to enter the number of months that the applicant has had with the recent prior carrier. So how many months has this applicant had his insurance with Hartford? So let's say he's been with them for 2 years, so we'll put in 24 months. Now the expiration date is going to be the expiration date of the current policy. Now in utilities, your administrator can also have this automatically defaulted either to the current date, which is what I currently have, or a future date, or you can have it set to a blank date where it prompts you to enter the date, the actual expiration date. So we'll put the expiration date as August 1st. We'll change that. As you can see, even though it's set as a default, I can change that information. All right. I also have the option of adding maybe a particular note that I want to see as a reminder. So I can put in a little note regarding this this applicant, or maybe the risk itself. And then once I click on the green arrow to remove it, it'll prompt me in red that there is a note here. So the next time I'm in this quote, I can automatically go back there and see exactly what I wrote. The driver information is the next section that you will need to go to. And what this does is, with the QQWebRater subscription that you have the ability to quote up to 6 drivers with 6 vehicles. So we can go ahead and determine how many vehicles or how many drivers are in the household. So we have 3 drivers and 3 vehicles. We'll put 3 vehicles. All right. The effective date is, when do we want this policy to be effective? So if the policy expires on August 1st, we'll have it effective on that same date. Or you can put whatever date is applicable to this area. My source, this is my source of business. How did this customer come to me? How did they find my agency? So which advertising tool brought them? So I can go ahead and select which information. Maybe they were just a walk-in. Then it brings me automatically to the driver, the actual driver information. So it also, the first driver, or driver 1, will always be the applicant. So right now it fills in, it pre-fills the first name and last name. So I can tab over to the next section. We have an area here where you can enter the applicant's social security number. This is not a required field in order to get a quote. So if you want to bypass this information, you can certainly do that. If an insurance company requires the social security number in order to provide you a quote, they will let you know. So you have the option then to come back to your quote and edit that information by adding the social security number. Our next area is the date of birth, which will automatically default to this date, but you have the option of changing. So let's say we'll make this 10/7/1965. All right, that's this guy's date of birth. The next area is this person's sex, which is he married? Is he single? Male, female. It will automatically default to single male. So if he's a married male, just go ahead and select that information. And then the next area are the custom, miles to work, the usage, and the credit level that you would need to select. So it prompts you automatically for miles. So how many miles does this person drive to and from work or to and from school? Automatically, I have it set in my defaults to enter 10 miles. Maybe that's a little bit low. Maybe he drives actually 15 miles to and from work. So I can go ahead and enter that information. The use, is this his principal vehicle? Is it for business use only, occasional? We can always enter that information here. So we'll put in principal. And his credit level. Now this is kind of important because depending on the credit level, sometimes your quotes will change. So you want to make sure that you use the most accurate guesstimate that you possibly can. So in this case, I'll leave it at average. Your license information. Now if you're in Florida, of course it'll say license Florida like it does here. But if you're in Texas, it'll say license Texas, license TX. What this area prompts you to enter is how many years has this person had a license in Texas, in the state of Texas. So you would enter that information here. So maybe they had it for 20 years. In the U.S. total, how many years has this person had a driver's license? So you can go ahead and enter that information also. And the same thing for a motor vehicle report. How many years does this person have a motor vehicle report? So you would enter that number in this section. And then lastly, it prompts you to enter what state is he currently licensed in. So we can select that information. Our next area is driver's info. And this would prompt you with a window to choose any restrictions or any credits that could apply to this specific driver. So if this driver has an SR22, then you can go ahead and check that. If they have a restricted driver's license, then they can also you can also check that box. If they are a homeowner, then you'd want to check this box in case they're eligible for a credit. Okay, once you're done, you can just close out of this area and you would enter the driver's license information. Now, if you don't have this ready on hand, what you can do, and this is for our Florida users, is click on the icon to the right of that box, which is a driver's license generator. And that will automatically search based on the insured's name and date of birth for a driver's license that would match this person. Your next area are violations. If there are any violations that this insured is reporting, you would need to enter them or select them from this area. So if he has maybe a driving under the influence, then you would select it here. Or maybe it's just a simple, speeding violations. You would need to, like a major speed or a minor speed, you would need to choose it from this area. If there is no violations that this person has, then you can just exit out of this section and leave it empty. Okay, so we're moving on to our next driver. So we'll go ahead and put in the wife's name, the last name. We'll bypass the Social Security number. Maybe this time we'll just put her date of birth, which is, let's say, June. Oh, incorrect format. So definitely wants a 0 in front of it. June 1st, 19, we'll make it the same year. Okay, we'll put in that she is a married female. And let's see, she is the spouse, because you need to indicate what relationship this person has to driver 1. Okay, and the rest you will fill out exactly the way you did before. Moving on, you would fill in information. Let's see, we can do that. And you can fill in information for driver 3. So driver 3 may be, let's say that's the child. So we will put that information here. And we could put, let's say, so it's a single male and it's a child. does not have custody of minor child. And we'll put in miles, let's say 5. We'll leave that at 5. And this is occasional. Now, in certain cases, you can also exclude the driver directly on this policy also. So you are acknowledging that there's there's a youthful operator, but if that person needs to be excluded from the policy, you can also indicate that. Okay. Florida license, maybe it's 1 year, we'll leave it at 1 year. Definitely a Florida license. We'll have a student discount, and we'll generate the license for that person also. Okay, so once you're done here, then you would move on to the vehicle information. Now, before we move forward to that area, what I'd like to show you is if in the event you're completing the entry screen with the driver information, and let's say they change their mind and they do not want to cover the child at all, maybe they're on a different policy altogether, what you can do is you can delete that driver directly on the screen, on the entry screen, by clicking on the X. Or let's say we want to delete the second driver, the wife. She no longer lives in the household. We'll go ahead and X out of that. So it does prompt you to make sure that you want to delete this information. And as you can see now, driver 3 has been changed automatically to driver 2. And if you look on the upper right hand side, you'll see that now it indicates 2 drivers with 3 vehicles in the household. So you don't have to go in and change that information. Once you delete that, it'll automatically do that for you. And the same thing would be for the vehicle information. If you wanted to automatically delete a vehicle, you can do that, and it would bring over vehicle 3 automatically as a vehicle 2. And if you wanted to delete the second driver altogether, you can also do that. So now you have a one-person driver, or one household driver, and one vehicle to quote. Okay, so your next area that you're going to move on to is the vehicle information. So if you do not have the vehicle ID number readily at hand, what you can do is just enter the information as far as the year, make, and model. And let's say we'll make this a 2006, and we'll make it an Infinity. There it is. And we'll say, let's say M35. And as you can see, it pulls up automatically partial VIN number that I can select. Once you select that VIN number, you'll see this, this box appear, which automatically will have certain areas checked. These are standard features that the vehicle comes with. So if you have additional, if you know that that vehicle that you're quoting has additional features, you can certainly indicate that here so that your quote will be a little bit more accurate. So if there's any additional credits that can be applied to your to this quote, they would because of those features, it would automatically calculate that. So let's say if this were it had a stolen recovery system like LoJack or something, you can use that. You can indicate that here. Once you're done, just simply close out of it and move on to the next area, which is the actual cash value and MSRP. Now again, this is an area that you can also bypass if the insurance company that you're quoting with requires this information in order to provide you a quote, then they'll ask for it. Otherwise, just move on. Most insurance companies automatically know what the actual cash value of the vehicle is and what the MSRP. Our next area that we're going to look at are the limits. Because I have it set in my utilities section to automatically default to the limits of 25, 50, 10, I have that area already pre-filled. But let's say that's not the case. Well, then I have the option of changing that. So let's say I want to quote 100, 300, and we'll choose 50. And I want to have a $1,000 deductible on my PIP, and it's named insured only. And let's say this person does not want any UM coverage, but they want 2,000 med pay. And then we'll move on to comp and collision and select, let's select $1,000. And then it prompts me to enter any information regarding the value of any like custom equipment that is included in this vehicle. So if they have like anything that is considered to be custom equipment that would normally not be covered, you may want to enter that information here. The same thing for quoting, towing, and rental reimbursement. If you want to include that, you would need to enter that information here. The accidental death and dismemberment limit, if they want to have that included or quoted, if it's available by any of the carriers that you're quoting with, you can enter that information. And also the optional coverages, additional coverages, and MVR fee. The MVR section is the next area that we'll look at. And this section allows you to enter any MVR fee that you are charging your customers to pull their MVRs. So you would enter that amount here. Or if you have an MVR account set up with QQ Solutions, you can have that charge automatically entered and default here on the entry screen from Utilities. Now before we move forward, there's an additional feature for our Texas users. At the top of the toolbar, you'll also see the Undisclosed Driver tab. You'll be able to click on that tab and enter undisclosed drivers within the household. Now, in order to move forward to the comparison screen and obtain your quotes, what I would suggest you do, what we'll look at right now, is the real-time rating selection. Next area that we'll look at before we obtain our comparison quotes are real-time rating selection. This is the option that's located at the top of your toolbar under RTR selection. This will give you a list of your real-time rating companies. These are companies that provide you quotes on a real-time basis. So the quote information will go directly to these insurance carriers, and then the quotes returned are directly from them. Now, if you know at this point that this applicant is not going to qualify for a quote within this company, you can certainly deselect that company itself. Once you're done, just go ahead and close out of it and click on Quote to proceed for the quote. Now, if there are any additional informations that are required from the insurance company, you'll see this additional client information box appear. And these are questions that are specific to the insurance carriers that they will need in order to provide you with an accurate quote. So in this area, you can see that what they're asking for, if you hover over the title, is they basically want to know, has this applicant had any prior PIP claims? If they have, you can enter how many they've had. If they have not had any, just leave it at 0. The next area that would be required is recommended repair shops. If there's current damage on there, and if this were the case, you would need to complete that information. If you are done in this section, simply click on Proceed to move on. This is your credit information disclosure, and once you're done reading that, go ahead and click on I agree. And this will bring you automatically to our comparison screen. So if you look at the very top on the left hand side, you have policy term. This allows you to see how these rates are sorted. Right now they're currently sorted on a semi-annual basis. If you want to switch that to see if there are any annual policies available or any annual quotes available, you can certainly do that. All right, you can also deselect. Right now, anytime I change the term, it's going to resort the rates. You can certainly uncheck that where it will not change that information. I have the option, if you look on on the upper right hand side, to print this comparison screen. I can email this comparison screen to the applicant or to anyone else. I can also edit this quote. So if I see this information and I'm not quite sure if this is correct, I can go back to my screen. I can click on Edit and review my information to make sure it's accurate, and then select quote once again. And now I have additional information that I need to enter. So at this point, it prompts me to enter the residence type. So since this person is a homeowner, do they own a home, mobile home, or other? Okay, hit your tab key to move on to the next required field, and it wants to know if this applicant would like to participate in any paperless discount. That's fine. Do they have any companion policies? Do they have any prior PIP claims? Do they have any damage to their vehicle? And let's see, how long have they owned this vehicle? So let's say we'll put 2 to 5 years. Has this vehicle ever been leased? Never been leased. Is there prior damage? No. And let's see, are they the original owner? Sure, we'll put yes. Once I'm done, I can click on Proceed. Click on I agree from your credit, and there's my comparison screen again. So now, as you can see, Dairyland has returned a quote, and also Kingsway Amigo. Now they do also check if the credit, if you look on the left hand side of the screen for Kingsway Amigo, there's a green check mark. If you look at the bottom of the comparison screen, it tells you that the green check mark means that either the credit report was pulled successfully or it was not a requirement by the insurance company. You can see which companies were returning a quote. Now, it breaks down the total quote by liability and physical damage. It gives you a total semi-annual premium. If there's any discounts for EFT on that annual premium, it would show you that right there. The paid in full amount, so if this person wanted to pay their this quote for this policy on a semi-annual premium, on a semi-annual basis in full, you can see exactly what the difference in premium is there. And then there's a down payment amount due if they choose to go with the payment options. So if you hover over that with your mouse, you can see that there are different payment options that are available with different down payments. So you can provide this information to your insured. Now, if there are any underwriting messages for this customer or for this quote, you can see them under details. Just hover over with your mouse, see messages, and this tells me automatically there are no underwriting restrictions with this quote. Dairyland, same thing. We can review the quote information, the down payment and payment options, and also see if there are any underwriting restrictions. So right here it tells me for vehicle 1, the inspection, we need to inspect the vehicle and credit was not required. So I know that with my quote I need to submit also a vehicle inspection form. See messages if you have an insurance company that did not return a quote to you. You can hover over this section under details and it tells you exactly why they did not provide information. So right here it tells me that the limits that I have selected for this insurer, 100, 300, were not written with this company, or not available with this company. So that's why they cannot write it. So once I'm done reviewing this information with my customer, I can go ahead and select which insurance company this person wants to go to if they do want to go with a particular company. So let's say we're going to choose Kingsway Amigo. We can select that company. My rating messages already will come up, which will tell me that there are no underwriting restrictions, and these are my discounts that are applicable to this quote. Okay, so now I come to this area, and this shows me what my semi-annual premium is. It also gives me my term and my policy dates, my effective policy dates, the information for my insured, the applicant's name, their telephone number, zip code, and their email address. So at this point, I have the option to select the application, bind, and bridge section. So I can go ahead and do that. Now there are a few items on the toolbar that you'll see that are different from the entry screen. So if I wanted to return to the comparison screen, I can do that from this area. I can also go back to my entry screen to edit the quote just by simply selecting Edit Quote. I can retrieve any saved quotes from this section. If there are any, if I need to review those rating messages again, I can certainly do that also. And I can save my quote. Okay, so let's say, for example, the insured wants to, or the applicant wants to come back and finish this process at a later time. You can save this quote within QQWebRater so that you can come back to it when he returns. Okay, print allows you, if you hover over it, to either quote the print or quote the print the quote. It allows you to print coverages, a customer letter. Let's say if we have we need to provide this applicant with a more detailed letter, and we select that, this will print a letter for him to keep that will show him exactly what his payment options are and the status. Okay, I can just X out to get out of there. And I also have available a pre-vehicle inspection and a vehicle inspection form. All right. Okay, so now we'll look at the application, bind, and bridge section within QQWebRater. Now, depending on what carrier that you're writing this coverage through, you can either bridge the information directly to the insurance carrier, or you can bind it directly to the insurance carrier. If you click on this application, the first section that you will come to is the payment plan. So here's where you're going to select what payment plan the insured wants to go with. So at this point, the option that's automatically highlighted is the one that you selected before, is the 4 payment plan with the down payment of $386.97 that was on the comparison screen. If the insured changes their mind, let's say they come back and they say, no, I really want to pay this in full, you can go ahead and change that information. And as you can see on the upper right hand side, it will change the total policy premium that was originally quoted, because now they have that paid in full discount that needs to be applied. So it does automatically reset itself. If you do not want the paid in full, then just simply leave it on one of the payment options that the insured chooses. Now, depending again what type of carrier you're going with to bind coverage or to bridge coverage, it depends entirely on how many questions you need to answer. So if you look to the next area, which is driver information, if there are any fields here that need to be completed, you will be notified of that by the insurance company. You'll get a message similar to this one, and it'll stipulate exactly which information needs to be entered and completed. Now, if it's mandatory fields, if these are mandatory fields that need to be completed, the ignore and continue option will not be available. You'll need to go back and make those changes and add that information to the application. If you see that this section is available, you can just simply move forward with that. The same thing for vehicle information. You can enter the complete vehicle information here and include the mileage if necessary, or just move forward with that information. And then you come to, and this section also will give you a notification to let you know that this information was not complete, so you have the option to ignore. And the same thing for policy information. Now, the next tab is to bridge. So if you're bridging to a company, that option will be available. If you're binding, that option will be replaced by the binding option. So you'll be able to click and directly access the insurance company from there. And if there's additional information that is required at that point, the insurance carrier will let you know. I'm on a test database, so I will not be able to show you really, what it looks like when it actually bridges to the insurance company, because I'm not connected to any companies. So we'll move on to the next area, which is transfer to QQ Evolution. Or if you have our other agency management system, which is QuickFile, you'll see that option here to transfer this information into your QuickFile or QQEvolution. So go ahead and do that. And this is the screen that you will see. You can enter all the information that you see here, as much as needed. Any MVR fees or any agency fees that you want to add, you can add them to this section. And you can even record the payment type that was for any down payments received. Once you're done, just simply click on Transfer to QQEvolution on the lower right-hand side. And at that point, it will give you a confirmation that this information was transferred to QQEvolution successfully. So you do not have to re-enter that information in the agency management system, whether it's QQEvolution or QuickFile. It'll already be set up for you. Okay, now at this point, we showed you how to transfer to QQEvolution. We also would like to show you how to transfer your quotes that are saved currently in QuickQuote in QQEvolution. So let's go ahead and do that, and all you would need to do. Alright, so at this point, what we're going to do in order to show you how to transfer your saved quotes from QuickQuote into QQWebRater is the first thing I want to do is just save and close out of this section. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is simply go to my QuickQuote that's on my desktop, and once I access that information or that QuickQuote icon, I can go into my saver. From this area here, I will have an option to select from the list of all my saved quotes which one I want to bring over to QQWebRater. So let's go to this one, Lori Ryder, and I want to go ahead and double click on this. Once I do that, I get a pop-up box that does ask me, do I want to transfer this quote to QQWebRater? If I select yes, it will automatically transfer to QQWebRater, or I can simply choose no and have this quote information just open up for my review. In this example, I'm going to go ahead and just click on yes and begin the process of sending it over to QQWebRater. So the process takes just a few seconds. It will automatically, if there are any discounts that need to be applied or any underwriting restrictions or notifications, you'll see them automatically in the rating messages. And from here, I can choose either to edit my quote. So if there's information that was originally entered here that is not current and I need to change that, I can go ahead and do that right here. And then I can requote this risk, or I can simply go to my arrow down option here and save my quote. So now I have it saved in QQWebRater. So I can make any information, additional notes, I can add that information here, and I can save this quote as new. So now if I want to retrieve my quotes, I can again go to my blue arrow down option and click on Retrieve Quotes. This gives me a list of all my quotes that I have saved within QQWebRater. So what I need to do is just find that quote that's in alphabetical order and simply select it from here. So I just moved past it, so let me go back, and here she is. And it does tell me the last date I saved this. So I had a quote saved for her on July 22nd, which is today's date, but there's also one saved for her on June 9th and June 13th. So let's say I want to go to this one. So I just click on Select, and it brings on that quote. So that's how you would actually transfer your quote from QuickQuote into QQWebRater and then save it. So you've seen how easy it is now to transfer your quotes from QuickQuote into QQWebRater. Some additional features that I'd like to show you before I end the training session for today is on the very top upper right-hand side of the screen, you'll see we have some additional features for you. We have what's called the What's New section. If you click on that, this will give you any new updates that were done to QQWebRater. It'll list them by version, and it'll give you detailed information regarding any changes or enhancements that were applied to QQWebRater. We also have your username. If you are the administrator in your office, you'll have access to the online account management system through My QQ Solutions account. You'll also have the help features, which will give you access to frequently asked questions regarding QQWebRater, and also the user guide. And lastly, we have the feature to log out of QQWebRater. So when you're ready to log out of the comparative rating system, then you can just simply click on Log Out, select OK, and now you are logged out of QQWebRater. I hope this training session has been helpful for you. If you have additional questions regarding the comparative rater QQWebRater, please feel free to send our training department an email with your question. They can be reached at training@qqsolutions.com. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you and have a great day.